Thank you very much. So I have 3 points to cover in my 5 minutes. The first was a reminder what someone mentioned yesterday about the metrics. Are we actually making progress, or are we just kind of fooling ourselves and thinking that we're making progress because we go to a lot of meetings? I've thought about this a bit, and I have some indications that we have made progress. I mean, generally, I think mankind has made progress in history to some extent. No? Certain things went downhill, but and I see similar signs here. We have clearly in EU, ICH, and so on. We have initiatives that had large impact on the industry, on the market, on the public health. We definitely have a lot of leadership in this area. It is multicentric leadership. It's not one hierarchical organization, and it can't be, and it should not be. We have to learn to live in a very dynamic environment where things happen in many places at the same time. We have to learn to communicate lightly without too much transaction cost in the communication. And I think this meeting here was a very good example how this is possible. Also, I just want to, we have a mailing list, by the way, that we send out where we try whatever we hear about regulatory harmonization, anyone is doing that is of interest, we send it out to everyone on our mailing list. So if you are not on that, send me an email, I'll put you on this list. I see clearly convergence in thinking. We heard Lembit, we heard Raymond from HSA in Singapore, we heard several speakers and contributors from US FDA. Same basic ideas, same principles, same terminology. This is good. We are going in the right direction, and these are people that are widely visible and are listened to around the world. So, yeah, I think we are making progress. That was my first point. The second point is, but the meeting also that was about R&D and innovation. I don't know whether you still remember at this point, but it was also meant to ask the question: does it actually help pharmaceutical and biological product innovation, where regulation can be seen as a barrier? I'm not so sure that we have fully addressed that issue, and I think this is still a lot more work to do, because in my viewpoint, I have my doubts that the industry as it exists today can continue existing over the next 20, 30 years if we don't make more progress on this area. You see already, we just had a visit 2 days ago from REACT. I don't know whether to say this is a group that looks into the dearth of new antibiotics, which seems to be a serious issue, in particular for our clientele, for the less advantaged people and so on, where infectious diseases still play a larger role. If we get more resistance against antibiotics and so on, we are in serious trouble. So my pledge would be, if you look at this innovation, also don't forget the NTDs, the neglected tropical diseases, and the anti-infectives that don't seem to work. The current incentive system doesn't seem to work in order to foster innovation, and also think from a regulatory viewpoint what you can do better. And the last point I want to make is about, again, the poorer countries, lower income, lower middle income countries, even some middle income countries, and this issue of resources. Those who are on my mailing list, you received an email a few days ago with work done by a group of Cambridge executive MBAs on the question of sustainable financing for regulatory agencies. There is possibility for a win-win. If we can help all these agencies that are not represented here, at least not directly, to come up to a level that they perform better, become more accountable, more transparent. We have seen explicit willingness from the industry side to pay higher fees. So there's an avenue of win-win where we can work together. I mean, it's very obvious for people who work in the industry in low-income countries, for example, Kenya, Ghana, and so on. If half your market is illegitimate drugs that have never seen a regulator in this country, you don't want to invest in this market. You're not happy. Even if your registration process works well, later your product is undercut by someone who sells at a much lower price because they can smuggle, past all the regulatory hurdles. So giving regulators benchmarks for performance, on the other hand, also kicking off a discussion on how they finance themselves more sustainably, I think is an important element that needs to be addressed, needs to be taken care of if we want to be serious in including all these low and middle income countries into our discussion here.
Great, thanks, Andreas. Next we have Steve Golson, needs no introduction, co-chair of